Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Girls Gotta Talk podcast. If you can't already hear it in my voice, your girl is sick again. I got sick again. I know I just missed the upload after Christmas, I think it was, because of the fact that I was sick and I didn't want to record. I couldn't record. I'm sick again. I got sick. Honestly, a couple days ago. I already kind of feel a lot better than I did. I'm literally only congested, which is why my voice sounds crazy. Yesterday I had a cough. Today I kind of still have the cough, but it's mostly just been congestion. So I don't know. I know the other night I had a really bad headache and just kind of slept it off. I took NyQuil the other night, slept amazing, but we're definitely feeling a lot better already, which is good. This really didn't last that long, but we are actually almost coming up on a week probably, so not the shortest, but not the longest, so we're gonna push through and record an episode anyways. I am so sorry that you're gonna hear me for, honestly, this episode probably isn't even gonna be that long, but I'm sorry for however long it is. This is how you have to hear me. So with that being said, another thing I was going to talk about, I got this really bad burn on my hand the other day. I went to go, towards this grill we have at work, which right off the bat, that sounds like you're probably gonna be like, Alyssa, you're just stupid. I went to go back up towards it to just feel the heat from it because I was really cold, and I took too many steps back and accidentally hit it with my hand and had this huge bubble burn situation. It finally healed itself. So that was also low-key part of another problem I probably could have had, because if you're watching, I'm holding this microphone fine and the burn is on this hand. It's literally on my palm. I don't know if you can see it, but right there, if you're watching, yeah, it's a really bad burn. It's healing really well. I could hold the microphone, but the first day it happened, I worked fine. That night is when I noticed the bubble, and then doing all this stuff, I didn't want to pop it and make it extremely bad. So it's on the hand that's my dominant hand. So I really couldn't do anything. I couldn't open anything to put pressure on anything type of thing. So if it was still really bad, I probably wouldn't be able to hold this microphone. I'd probably have to hold it with my left hand, which I can switch and do, but it just feels really weird, and I know I wouldn't be able to hold it for a long time. Either that, or I probably would have had to set up one of the stands I have for the microphone, which I haven't used in a very long time because I just got so used to just sitting here and talking into a microphone instead of leaning into it. I feel like it just made it more of a comfy vibe. So I haven't pulled them out in a while, but I probably just could have used that. Anyways, I just wanted to put those two things out there for actually no reason at all. Well, the burn was really no reason at all. I just felt like updating you in my life, I guess. And my voice, because of the fact, like I said, for however long this episode goes for is how long you have to hear my nasty voice for. And I do sincerely apologize. I probably should just rest and try to make it better, but I don't know. I'm too into work. I'm too into this podcast that I'm not missing another episode. I'm not missing another week. I'm so sorry. So with that being said, actually, my intentions are clearly I should be taking more vitamins. I should be vitamin C pills, orange juice, I don't know, anything vitamin C related, because like I said, honestly, within the last month, this is the second time I've gotten sick. I was sick Christmas. I started feeling sick Christmas Eve, was sick on Christmas, the day after, and a couple days after that, probably for a solid week. And now I was fine around New Year's. New Year's I was fine. And then now we're 2 weeks into January, and we're back at it with whatever this is. Honestly, it's feels just like common cold. The last time I was sick, Christmas time sick, felt like just a common cold. This has literally just been like congestion. Like, I don't know. I don't know what it is. Like, it's literally just my nose is congested, and that's really about it. Like, I don't know. There's been nothing else like I've been going through, so it's just that. So, like I said, with that being said, intentions for this week, we're going to look into vitamins and what I should be taking to like not get sick every other day. But I feel like I've also just kind of known that my immune system is like really weak. Honestly, growing up, I was always sick, always getting sick. I always end up getting strep throat, which led to me getting my tonsils taken out. I think back in like 2017. Does that sound about right? I don't know. I think it was back in 2017. I got my tonsils taken out because I went for like a sleep study, and they were like, yeah, these gotta go. Meanwhile, I've been saying as I was growing up that I wanted to look into getting them taken out, and my doctors were always like, no, it's not necessary. We don't need to talk about that yet. Apparently, my second opinion I went to had a very different opinion. Anyways, that is so off track. You don't really care about all that, but streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, anywhere you stream your podcast. I need to stop saying platforms. I don't know why I say platforms, but anywhere you stream your podcast. Anyways, into today's topic. Today's topic I've seen trending all over YouTube lately, actually, and I was very surprised because I saw one video and I was like, wow, like, wait a minute, that's actually kind of cool. I feel like it depends on the audience. I know some of you are going to be like, I don't really care about this, but some of you that are like into reading and all that stuff are going to be like, wow, like I'm actually curious, or wow, I'm curious to see what you thought about that. Maybe not, I don't know. But I saw one video on YouTube and I was like, wow, like that's actually a really interesting video. Like maybe I can make that into like a podcast episode. And I texted one of my friends and I was like, is this going to be interesting? And she was like, well, like if you're interested, like you should just do it. And I was like, yeah, there's going to be people that'll watch and people that don't. Like if you don't, you don't. If you do, you do. Like that's just the type of situation for these. Because there's definitely two types of people when it comes to like reading. Like you either love it or you don't. I feel like there's kind of no in between. And I feel like the year of 2023 like really got me into my reading era. So like I said, I saw this and I was very, very interested. I'm not going to do any like spoilers or anything in case any of you do want to read some of these books. I've low-key only went through 6 in 2023, but 6 is actually kind of good for me because it's not like I have the time to just sit and read whenever I want. Like I have a regular like 9-to-5 job. I'm a mom. Like I don't have that kind of time on me to like just sit and like all day just be reading if I really wanted to read a book. So I do have 6. I had a goal of reading 10. So I feel like when you base it 6 out of 10, that's actually not bad, but like 6 within like the whole year sounds really bad because that's not even like 1 a month. That sounds awful, but I'm pretty impressed with what I got done. I'm pretty impressed with the books that I read. I loved every single book that I read. But yeah, so we're going to do no spoilers. I'm going to kind of explain how I found the books, whether or not I liked it, which I just kind of did. I just said I literally loved every single one of these books, but for different reasons. So we'll get into that. I'm also going to say I've seen a lot of people, especially after the holiday season, talk about Kindles and the Kindles being on sale and loving their Kindle and being able to take it on the go. I'm definitely not a person that can sit in a car and read. I definitely get car sick. I get car sick kind of after a certain amount of time in the car anyway, so never mind like adding reading a book into that equation. Like it's just, I know it's not going to work for me. So I am more of a physical book type of person. I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to trying a Kindle. I feel like I would want to like try it with someone's, like borrow a friend's, or like I don't know, like I don't know how to explain it. I don't think I'd want to buy one myself to figure out I don't like it, if that makes sense. 'Cause then I just have one that's just gonna sit there and probably collect dust, and I don't really like the thought of that. So I wouldn't be opposed to trying it, but I do love having like a physical book in my hand, like flipping pages, I don't know, all that stuff. There are now, which I feel could be a game changer. There's now audiobooks on Spotify. And I know one of my friends sent me a snap the other day. She was in the car and she was like, "Oh, I can't wait to read this, blah, blah." And I was saying that I heard the book was really good, but I haven't like read it or anything. And she was like, "Yeah, I'm listening to the audiobook on Spotify." And I was like, hold on. Like, if I can listen to podcasts in the car, like I got over my podcast phobia I used to have. I don't know what you want to call it, but if you know, you know. So I feel like having an audiobook can kind of change the game. And I'm actually kind of interested. I have to go through them, see what they have on there, and potentially listen to one in the car. I don't drive that far anymore since I switched jobs and everything, but I feel like even if I just play it, wherever I go in the car, no matter how long the ride is, or if I just like pop some headphones in while I'm cleaning up the house, like all this stuff, I can still be listening to it. Or if I just, lately I've been like having this little speaker and like playing some music while I'm doing little mundane tasks, but still wanting to listen to music because I need something in the background, basically. Like I can't just do things in silent. I either have like the TV on, or like I said, my headphones in, or I've been having the speaker on. I just need something going on in the background. I can't just sit and be doing things in silence because I'm crazy. But I don't know, like now I'm just intrigued and I want to try it. So I might try to see what books they have on there that I can potentially listen to. I'm not like I never was a type of person that could read like 2 books at once. Like a lot of people I know, well, that's a lie. Some people that I know have been like, "Oh, I'm reading this one, but like I also really wanted to start this one, so I started this one," type of thing. I cannot read both because I do not have good memory, so I will probably forget what had happened in one book if I started reading another one and then like went back to the other book. Either that, or I'd probably like, I feel like at some point start to combine the two, and it would just confuse the heck out of me and I wouldn't know like what book I'm remembering and what happened in which one. So I definitely have to do like one at a time. I don't know if that would be the same with listening to a book. Like if I listened to one on Spotify but was like physically reading another one, I don't know if the two would like start to blend, especially if they were like completely different types of books. But I don't know. So basically, like I said, I read 6 books in the year of 2023, which, like I said, if you put it within like a whole year perspective, it's really not that good. I know people that have read like over 20, and I give you major props. I definitely did not have the time for all that. 6 isn't the greatest, but like I said, I had made a goal to read 10. So 6 out of 10 really isn't that bad. I'm also going to go like into detail of honestly how long it took me to read each of these books. And when you see what happened during my year of reading this, you'll probably understand why I only read 6, because I had a really, 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 really long gap in between one of my books. It was one of those moments where it's like I put it down and then I picked it back up finally got into it, re-obsessed, wanting to finish it, but like months later. Like when I say months, like I mean months later. So anyways, I do also want to explain, I use the Goodreads app. I highly recommend this app if you are into reading. It's my favorite app to track these books. I don't know, I think I saw it. I saw someone using it on Instagram. I forget who it was, but I like looked into it and I was like, I don't know. And then I finally got it, and it's just, I just mark my own books of what I've read, what I want to read. You could rate it. You could give like little comments. I just love it because if you're like, you could have like friends within the app, like be following or like friends with people. I forget what it is. I think you could either add them as a friend or you'll be following their page. I don't know. It's something along those lines. I know I follow a couple people. So, you can kind of see like theirs, like what they've read and what they've liked, what they haven't liked, what they want to read, like see if you guys like have anything in common type of situation. I don't know. I feel like I love it because I don't know, you could kind of just like bond with someone like that, like through books and seeing what they, like I said, like what they have read, what you've read, kind of going back and forth. That could be like a really good conversation. I don't know, like I've just really loved it. And like my favorite thing is like you can put in like what page number you're on in the book, and it tells you like in percent like how much you've read. Like you've read like 28% or you've read like 62%. I just love seeing that because that gets me so excited to like finish it. Once I pass like being through like 50% of the book, I'm just so excited to get it done. And then once you hit like 70-80% or like you're in like the mid 90s, like I feel like I'm just weird, and I like at that point want to push myself to get through the book, which I probably want to do anyways because like I said, the books I did read I was obsessed with. So, but with that being said, we are going to start to get into the books. I do have random facts. Okay, so like I said, the Goodreads book has like a my year in books. And I thought that was interesting because I went through it and it told me like how many pages I read in the year, how many books you read, the shortest book you read, the longest book you read. So I read a total of 2,015 pages in the year of 2023. Like I said, I read 6 books. The shortest book I read was 275 pages, which I don't know, like I'm not a type of person that's like, oh, I'm not going to read this book because it's too short, or I'm not going to read this book because it's too long. Like if I'm interested in the book, I'm genuinely just going to be interested in the book. Like I'm not going to decide on a book because of page numbers, if that makes sense. But then the longest book I read was 433 pages. I'm not going to tell you what books they were yet until I start to get into the books. So the first book that I read, I want to make sure this is even in, I didn't even put these in order. I just kind of put them as how they were listed. So I actually have all the books in front of me. If you're an audio listener, this really doesn't matter. If you're watching, I'm going to kind of show some of the books. So the first book I read of 2023 was, let me see. So this book, it's called A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. This book, so this was like a decent start. This honestly took me a little bit to get into because like I said, so January of 2023, I started it January 2nd. I didn't finish it until March 27th. So this took me a little bit to go through. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. This was actually the longest book I read. This was the book that was 433 pages. I genuinely loved this book. I was really obsessed with it. I loved the like mystery, like thrill of it. I don't want to say too much with giving it away, but the main character in this book decides to basically like re-examine a closed case of a murder that had occurred in her town. She finds new clues, new details about it, and proves a whole other thing of like what actually happened in the case. So I thought that was really interesting. I thought that someone in high school that had done all this research, done all this like background research, everything she needed can like basically solve what actually happened in this case. I thought it was really cool. Loved it. So this definitely was a really good book for me. I ended up actually getting all the books in the series. So I didn't end up reading the next book in the series until September. So this one, like I said, I started beginning of the new year, literally January 2nd. This book is, I'm just going to go with the next book in the series. This book is called Good Girl Bad Blood. It is the next book in the Good Girls Guide to Murder series. I started this book, like I said, in September. Definitely took me less time to read. I started it September 5th and finished it September 16th, so I at least finished it within the same month. This one definitely caught my attention because in this one, the same main character is still doing what she did. Someone had talked her into looking into a case. It wasn't really an open case. They just knew that because of the last time with the police and looking into that case, it would honestly be better, like honestly almost for her to do it, because she had figured out things the last time that no one else had realized or no one else had information on. So someone's brother goes missing. So he asks the main character to look into his disappearance and what happened to him and all this stuff. But the twist to this book is that she documented and did everything through a podcast, which I thought was so cool. So in the last one, in the first book, she did it as like a capstone project, which if you've never heard of that is like a big end of year project for a senior in high school. And then in this one, obviously she's out of school, so she started a podcast. So she basically goes through all the information she has, all the interviews she's done, everything, and puts it, she calls it A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, but it's a podcast. And with the fact that I've gotten into podcasts and all this stuff, I thought this was like really cool and interesting. I actually have the last book of this series, which is called As Good as Dead. I recently started it. I haven't picked it up in a while, but I do want to get back into reading. I haven't kind of wanted to in a little bit, but lately I've been kind of feeling like I want to. I just haven't really had the time. So I do want to start the last book of that series. I feel like it'll be very interesting. I love that series so much. I was very intrigued with reading both of those so far. So, and the way like that second book ended, I'm really actually like wondering what's going to happen in this last book and how it's going to go. Like, I wonder if she's still going to be doing the podcast and all this stuff. So definitely want to get into that book. Like I said, I just haven't really had the time to pick it up lately, but I think maybe at night or something I'll like try to read a little bit before bed. 'Cause I kind of feel like it gives me like the not like getting off the screen, like trying to open this bottle while still trying to talk. It won't like give me any screen time at night, but it'll be reading, and it kind of makes me like reading makes me tired. So I feel like I just kind of get better sleep if I read instead of like scrolling through my phone. So maybe I'll start to do that. New year, new me, read before bed instead of being on my phone. That's probably actually a really good goal. I should have set that as like one of my goals this year. The next book I read in 2023, this is what I feel like made me only read 6 books this year, because this was the book I started and then stopped for literal months. Like literally, wait till you hear this timeline. I read It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover. I don't even remember when I read It Ends With Us, but I didn't really know who Colleen Hoover was, to be honest, when I read It Ends With Us. That was the first book I ever read from her. I found it in Target. Oh, wait, I wanted to tell you guys, like, how I found these books. I found all of these books in Target. When I go to look for a book, I kind of read, like, the first couple pages, like, in the store. And then I kind of, like, flip through. I'm not really, like, a read the back of the book type of person. I will, but, like, I'm not gonna lie. Most of the time, I don't even read the back of the book to see, like, what the book's about half the time. I read the first couple pages, which kind of gives you kind of a synopsis, I guess, of what it's gonna be about. But then I kind of flip to, like, the middle of the book, like a random page, and start reading to see if, like, when I get to that part of the book, if I'm still kind of gonna be interested. Because I know, like, a lot of people are like, oh, this book started slow, or, oh, this book was interesting and then kind of, like, died out. So I kind of do that little preparation for myself in store, because it kind of gives me, like, should I buy this book? Should I not buy this book? So, like I said, I read the first couple pages, flip to the middle, kind of go to the end, see what happens. Well, I don't want to, like, give it away for myself, but I'll go to, like, the end of the book, kind of read a little bit, and if I'm, like, totally intrigued, I'm like, yeah, I need this book. So then, like, I'll buy it. But I did find all of the books I have in Target. So I found It Ends With Us, and then loved it. Literally, like, couldn't put it down. I was so obsessed reading it. So then, not 2023, so, like, not this last Christmas, but Christmas 2022, I asked for this book for Christmas because I was super intrigued. I really wanted to read it. It was the time, though, when it came out that Christmas. It was around the time where, like, it was coming out and it was selling out like crazy. You couldn't find it almost anywhere. Like, every time I went into Target, I couldn't find it. And then I went to one Target and there was so many of them that I was like, oh my God, I have to get this. So I asked for it for Christmas. It was kind of like I bought it at the time, but, like, gave it to someone to, like, gift to me, and one of those things where you just, like, kind of act surprised when you get it type of situation. But I started this book in March, literally the end of March. So I started it March 31st. I didn't, this is, like, kind of embarrassing. I can't even, like, remember what happened, like, why I put it down and never, ever, like, ever picked it back up. I started this March 31st. I didn't finish this book until August 28th. Like, why did it take me almost 5 months to read this book? If you've actually ever read this book, or, like, I guess the series, because if you read It Ends With Us, like I said, I was obsessed. I couldn't put it down. I wanted to keep reading it every time I picked it up. I was actually the same with this book. Like, it's so good. You get so trapped into it. I don't understand how it took me so long to finish it. I don't know. I can't remember, like, what happened, why I put it down, why I couldn't get through it almost. But let me tell you, if you're not a Colleen Hoover fan yet, it's time to become one, and I highly suggest reading, honestly, any of her books. I read a few of her books. Like, I've read It Starts With Us, It Ends With Us. I've read November 9. I've read I'm trying to, like, look on my shelf, but I don't I read Without Merit. I read. Thank God there's a list in the beginning of our books. I don't even remember what books I have, honestly. I think that's actually it. Oh, she has series? I didn't know that. Okay, well, I knew like it ends with a series because I read those too, but I didn't realize she had other series. Huh. I'm very intrigued now. But yeah, I read November 9 Without Merit. Those are the only two I have. I am going to talk about books I want to read for this upcoming year, and some of them in there are her books, so I don't want to like spoil that yet. But this book, fantastic. I am so happy it's becoming a movie. I cannot wait for that to come out. I am super, super excited to like watch it and like follow how the books went. I'm really excited. I love that book so much. Like I said, why it took me so long to read it, I wish I knew, and I'm just happy I actually finally got through it because highly suggest, 10 out of 10 recommend. Loved it. The last 3 books that I read this year are within a series of themselves. I read that's not what it's called. That's the last book. I read the Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy. I loved these. I was very into it. With that being said, the shortest book I read was part of this. It's Not Summer Without You, which is the second, I believe, book of this series. Let me double check. Yep. So It's Not Summer Without You is the second book of this series. I loved this series so much. I read the first book and I was like, I love this. I am obsessed. I read The Summer I Turned Pretty by Jenny Han. I don't really know how to pronounce her last name. She's apparently also the author of To All the Boys I Loved Before, which I feel like is a TV series or like a movie. I feel like there's multiple movies. I haven't seen those, but I have heard of them. I started the first book of this in September. I started it September 16th, and I finished it on October 2nd. So it did take me a little bit of time to read it, but I loved it. I was super in love with it. It was kind of like a little bit of like a romance situation, but I thought it was really cute, really, I don't know, like I was just hooked in it the whole time. I also found out that this was, okay, so I think I started reading these when I found out that it was like a show, but I'm more of a, I don't know, sometimes I like to read the books first and then the movies and kind of like see which one I like better. I did like the books better for some reason, but the show was really, really, really good. I kind of binged the show after I read the last book. It took me like 2 days to go through it, honestly, if that, but I loved this one. The characters were amazing. The characters in the show really like, I don't know, I feel like they just picked good ones for that show. I read the second book of the series, which is called It's Not Summer Without You. I started it literally the day after I finished the first book. Like I was almost done with the first book. I literally went to Target to get the second one. Actually, I think I got the second and the third one just to have, but I made sure I had the second one because I knew when I was done reading the first one, I needed to get into the second one. So I literally started the second one the day after, and I started it October 3rd, and it took me like a month to read it. I finished it on November 5th. So this one, again, took me some time to get into it. Well, not get into it, but it took me some time to get through it. The last book, on the other hand, this is where I was like, I love this. Like, I need to finish this. I need to get through it. I want to watch the shows so bad. I need to read this book. It took me 5 days to read this last book. I started the last book on Thanksgiving because we didn't go anywhere this year for Thanksgiving. We just stayed home. So as we were sitting around the house, I was like, what better time to pick up this book and start reading? We're sitting home all day. We're not going anywhere. We're not doing anything. We had, I think, some like TV shows on during the day. So I was like, perfect. I had this book. Now's the time to pick it up and read it. I think I read majority of this book the first like Thanksgiving night. I read so much of this book. I think I honestly got through like the first 100 pages Thanksgiving Day. And then within the next couple of days, like I said, I don't usually have like the time to just sit and read. So I did the best I could. Like I said, it literally only took me 5 days. That was the fastest I've ever, I think, read a book, to be honest with you. I know I'm not like the fastest reader, but I'm also like not the slowest. But for me to go through a book in 5 days, that just shows you like how much I loved it. So I started it, I don't know if I said it, November 23rd and ended November 28th. This series, I highly recommend. I highly recommend both reading and watching. If you're not a reader, I definitely highly recommend watching the show because it was amazing. The characters were really, really good. I loved them all. And if you are into reading, I highly suggest going to Target and picking up this book series. I think you could buy each book individually, but they also have it where you could just buy the series. I don't know why I didn't do that, but I literally have each book. So if you want to borrow it, let me know. Kidding, but not. So those were the 6 books I read this year. I went through one series and I'm 2/3 of the way through another series. And then, so now getting into the books I want to read this year, I did pick up a book that I think I only picked up the first one. Is a new series though. It's called One of Us is Lying by Karen M. McManus. I think that's how you say her name. The first book is called One of Us is Lying. I honestly, like I said, I don't usually read the back of books, so I don't really know what this book is about, but I started reading it, like I said, and then a couple pages in, towards the end, whatever, my little cycle I go through to figure out if I want to read the book. And I was very interested in it. It seems very interesting. So I did get the first one. I haven't started it yet, but so that is book 1. The next book is One of Us is Next, and the final book of that trilogy is One of Us is Back. So I'm really excited to get into that. I kind of like series. I like going through a series and just seeing how like each part of it unfolds and what happens and all that. Like I said, I am into the last book of A Good Girl's Guide to Murder right now, which, like I said, is called, oh God, what is it called? It is called As Good as Dead. I do want to get into that. I think I will hopefully start to pick it up soon and start reading that again, because I actually do like want to. I'm so weird with reading. I go through phases where like I love it, and then I get through my phase where I'm like, I don't really want to do this anymore, and then I start picking up books again, and I'm like, oh my God, why did I stop? I love this so much. I did that all throughout my childhood. Like I loved it, and then I was like, I don't want to read, that's boring, and then I'm like, oh my God, I love this. Yeah, no, I'm kind of over it right now, but I'm kind of in my not really into it phase right now, which I hate because I already started that book. Not that far into it. I'm maybe like, honestly, 20 pages deep. So in my Goodreads, that's probably going to be one of those books that shows that it took me months to go through it, but I'm going to try to push myself, get into it, pick that back up again. now that I realized that Colleen Hoover has series, I think I picked up one of the first books in one of her series that she has because I didn't pick it up. I want to read it. It's called Maybe Someday. And I think if I'm looking at this correctly it starts with us because it has some of her books like listed in the first couple pages. There's a Maybe Someday series. So Maybe Someday, Maybe Not, Maybe Now are the books in that trilogy, I guess. I didn't know it was a series when I marked that I wanted to read it, but now that I know it's a series, I feel like I'm going to be a little more intrigued because, like I said, I don't know what it is, but series just kind of capture my attention. Like, I love it. I want to read every book in every series. A couple of Colleen Hoover books that I want to read are Reminders of Him and Verity. If you are a Colleen Hoover fan, I feel like 99% of them have already read Verity, and I heard that book is a crazy freaking book. I heard it gets really gruesome, but like it's really good. So I'm kind of, not gonna lie, I'm kind of nervous to read it. I'm kind of scared and see like how far it gets into that book. But I've also heard like it seems like it's one of her best books. Like it seems like if you're a Colleen Hoover fan, like that's automatic top, like I would even say 3 books by her you have to read. So I am very excited to get my hands on that, start reading that. But the last book I have that I want to read this year, I feel like I saw a lot in 2023 and I haven't heard a bad thing about it. I've heard nothing but good things about Every Summer After by Carlene Fortune. I don't know. I heard a lot of people loved it. It was like another one of those books that you like start and like you can't put down. You don't want to put down. You just want to finish it. You just have to keep reading. So I am really excited to get my hands on that as well. But with that being said, that is everything basically for my book recap of 2023. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I was kind of iffy and on the fence about making this an episode, but I actually had a lot of fun. I liked talking about this. I liked going through what I read, what I want to read. We'll see if this becomes a thing and I do the same thing at the end of 2024. Honestly, we just started 2023, so by the end of 2024, I know I'm going to forget that I said this, but hopefully I make this another episode at the end of this year of everything I've read. Hopefully I read more than 6 books this year. We're going to try to manifest that, I guess, because I definitely want to push myself and do way more than that. But thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you next week back with a brand new episode. Bye.